Good morning and welcome to Sunrise. I'm Joke Rogers.
I don't know why she's wearing black like I am, but good morning and welcome. I'm Ayo Makin. It's a beautiful Saturday morning, and I hope you had a productive week.
Yes, as we did.
As they say, I hope you didn't see the rain in the week.
Well, who did not see rain? Is there anyone, I dare you, to say that it didn't rain? It would have rained at some point. If no flooding, but you would have seen rain. Everybody's always scared of the rain. I wonder why.
It's not being scared. It's just that it's unpredictable when it's going to rain, and then before you know what is happening, you know, you didn't leave home with your brolly, and then you get out of home and you find that it's all drizzling and all, and you know, it's just it.
And let me ask you this: how much laundry have you been able to put in? Be truthful, not much, right?
Oh, well.
Because the sun is hardly out.
Yes, for Joke, she uses a dryer, so she's not like you. You know yourself.
You know, the majority of Nigerians wash and.
You see the political way in which
not everyone, but a lot of people.
Political way in which
that's the traditional way you wash and put it on the line to dry.
Just go and marry politician, please. Just go and marry politician.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
Okay. Anyway, so what was the week like?
Well.
Or what are we missing? What are the?
We're not missing much, but you know, we did miss a lot. But things that were supposed to happen happened. You know, like the Orire victims to finally, you know, came back. They met with the Governor Makinde. Governor Makinde went to see some of them in the hospital. I think they were finally reunited with their families. You know, horrifying over 50 days. You know, in captivity. A lot of other things happened, you know, during the week as well. A lot of politicking ahead of the presidential elections. Our FCID, what's that? That agency. PFIPC. He got arrested, you know, finally. So, you know, it was a very, very busy week for a lot of people.
Well, one thing though that I think I'm just glad about is, first of all, that release of the kids is very, very encouraging. And then we are seeing political alignments. Sincerely, okay, has the voter, I know the voter registration process is still on.
Yeah.
And sometime in I think July the 25th or so. When it's going to end. So if you have not registered or you have anyone who will be voting for the first time in in the coming general elections, please encourage them to go vote. Someone said, if you did not vote, you have lost the right to complain.
Yeah.
So do us a favor. There are those who believe that their votes are not going to count. How do you know? Because the thing really is, it's one person, one vote.
Yeah.
So imagine in a community, 100 people are in that community. They have selected a few of them to represent them, and in that community, 50 of them say we don't trust the process.
Yeah.
And 50 of them say they are going to vote. 10 of those 50 are not going to be able to vote because they are INEC officials. 10, another 10 is not going to vote because they are security officials and other logistics and the rest of them.
So
30 will vote. Of the 30 that can vote, 20 of them say something happened, they are not able to vote. So 20 people will vote to determine the fate of 100. That's exactly what has been happening over time. Simply because 50% of us, for instance, say we're not going to vote simply because we think or we believe or we're persuaded that our votes are not going to count, then we have no right to complain.
Yeah.
And there are those who have also said, those who have also said that we allow the worst of us to govern the best of us.
Yeah.
There's a constitutional flaw. If you want to be president, you don't need to pass WAEC, just attempt it. you know, I hope the National Assembly people will deal with that, you know, later. But for those of you who know what to do and who can do it, go ahead, go out there and register and encourage everyone around you to vote. And don't vote blindly. Don't vote sentimentally. See, one of the things that I've also seen is you hate someone just because. That's fine. But let your just because be
just because
a reason. No, let that just because not end with ellipsis. Let it have something that will follow it. Okay, this is why I don't like this fellow. Yes, but is the fellow functional? You know, there is no perfect person in the world. But please, no sentiments. Poverty has no religion. Poverty has no color of poverty. There is no color of poverty in the Southwest different from the color of poverty in the Northeast. It is poverty. And we're all dealing with the same problem. So please, do your best to go out there and register to vote. And encourage everyone around you that you know, particularly the young Nigerians, to do the needful. There is, as some people have also said, there is no polling booth on social, as some people say, social media.
Social media.
There is no polling booth there. So
yeah, but you know that in the same vein as you have said it, there's also the other side of it that, you know, make yourself available for electoral positions, because often the issue is who the political parties put forward that we vote for, regardless. Because you are voting for, majority you're voting for political parties, not individuals. But individuals influence, like, oh, we know this guy, we like this guy, we don't, you know. So if you don't like the process, make yourself available to be voted for as well. So make yourself available to vote, and make yourself available to be voted for if you want a change in the system.
There's something else that I should add to that. When you say the people that the political parties put forward.
Yes.
Yes. Who are the people in the political parties? The PhD holders will not join political parties.
No, they will not.
Professors will not join political parties. Students who have something of hair will not join political parties. And so the people that are there, they are already landlords. They are the...
But clergy have started joining.
Clergy have started. Now...
Benue and Akwa Ibom.
Yes, they have started. They should be the foundation members. That's the thing. Why is Desmond Tutu famous in South Africa?
It's true.
Right? So they are the people that should be foundation members of those political parties.
But it's even good now, because even politicians now, during their campaign, they go to churches.
Exactly. So you go to church, you go to mosque, you go to where I don't know why they don't go to, where is that place that Governor, what's his name? Former the one in the southeast.
I don't know.
That place where the former governor of Anambra that was removed from office. Okija Shrine. Why didn't they go there?
I don't know.
But I don't know. Anyway, leave that one. So let's do something, right? Let's do something. So you have a club, members of a club. You all are together, right?
Yeah.
In whatever you name the club. It's a Agege club or Motion club or whatever.
Motion club.
You are all elites. You are all middle class or whatever you call yourselves. You are rich, you're affluent, you're comfortable, and you're already doing some good for your society. That's fine. Can like 100 of you or 1,000 of you enter political parties of your choice, individually or collectively, en masse?
Yeah.
So let's say the political party in your ward has like say 100 or 200 or 500 people, and say like 500 of you or 1,000 of you enter into that political party en masse. You have outnumbered the people that are there. There is no way they will be able to take a decision that is going to be away from your own ideals.
Yeah.
So say, just imagine, I don't want to name any club. You are all social elites. You do things for society, corporate social responsibility, personal social responsibility. You already do those things. Fine. When you institutionalize it, enter political parties en masse. Let us now see how those people you are complaining about will be able to outnumber you in the decisions they will take. Because you will not be this one that wants to go and represent us. Wait, what is his qualification? Who is he? Where is he coming from? Because two things make political decision. Number one, patronage. Where is it? Lagbaja's son, Tamadu's son, and all those ones. Number two, popularity.
Yeah.
Once the fellow is popular, that's it. But you can say, look, it's not enough. What's he going to do there? What does he know? If we don't ask those questions, we're going to get, as they say, you pay peanuts, you get monkeys.
Take out menu.
So what are we talking about?
Endemic corruption is one of those core things we'll be talking about today.
That is why those who are not seemingly not corrupt should join politics. Oh,
can the court save Nigeria? What's the hope of the common man?
Have you seen the... Anyway,
well,
I'm not even going to say anything about that.
Is the man so common anymore?
Solving Nigeria's post-harvest food crisis. This is a bad... the situation here is very bad, but guess what? We'll find goodness in it.
And then tied to that, the role of agriculture and agri-tourism in total wellness.
This one is talking about money. It sounds like
yeah.
It sounds like money. Find out later. Lifestyle. Holiday is coming.
Holiday is here already.
What?
It's here already.
We'll find out about what all of that is about in the course of time.
And then we have the artist of the week.
I won't tell you anything about that one. But in the meantime, do yourself a favor. Grab your cup of cocoa.
Or coffee. Or water.
Or coffee. Some people say coffee. I'm having water. It's a big mug of water. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. And here comes a discussion that seems to be everlasting in this country. Endemic corruption. And of course, it's not that we don't have cases go to court. But then, can the courts really save Nigerians in Nigeria? Do we get the outcome that we truly want? A lot of people say, oh, these cases are swept under the carpet. If you're dining or, partying with the party of the day, then, you get away with a lot of things. High-profile cases here and there. And to what end?
There are those who have also said that, I think, remember former finance minister and coordinating minister of the economy, Okonjo, where I say, when you fight corruption will fight back.
You fight back.
And one way that we fight corruption is through legal means.
Yes.
The EFCC is an anti-corruption agency. ICPC is an anti-corruption agency. The police, in fact, every security agency is an anti-corruption agency. NDLA is an anti-corruption agency. The question you want to ask is, how well have they been able to do? How well are they doing? Do they get convictions? Of course they get convictions. I remember we spoke with Mr. Femi Babafemi, spokesperson of the EFCC recently, that, I was asking, Oga, you continue to go after the minions. How about going after the big boys? He said they always go after the big boys. And they caught some of them. That's encouraging. But are we able to deal with it decisively? That's the question. Is there any more that the courts can do than they're doing already?
And so we have to, talk about these issues today. We have joining us virtually Mr. Dapo Akinyosun, Senior Advocate of Nigeria. Then we have Dr. Olugbenga Adeoye, Chartered Accountant, Tax Expert, Arbiter, International Business Lawyer, President, Egba Economic Summit Group. I just had to read all of that.
You have to.
He joins us in the studio. Thank you. And he's looking very Egba-ish, this morning, I must say.
Having me.
And then we have Mr. Sulaiman Arigbabu, Executive Secretary, Head of Resource Center, who's also joined us in the studio.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us, and Mr. Akinyosun online. But let me start with you, because so that we can just hear your voice, since you're not here in the studio with you, Mr. Akinyosun. Your thoughts about this endemic corruption, and how much reliance really we can have on the courts. Let's just stick with our title for today. Can the courts really save Nigeria? Are they doing what they're supposed to do? How reliable, are these court cases when we're dealing with corruption? Are we getting, you know, the results that we truly want to get when we talk about these high-profile cases?
Good morning, and thank you for having me here today. I think the courts are doing very well within the ambits of what they're supposed to do. You find that many of the recoveries that are done have to go through the legal means. The law, the AJCA, the EFCC Act all go back to one fact, that you must get a court order to forfeit. The challenge with the court system we find is that those who are taking loads of money can afford the best lawyers, and those lawyers will come to court a lot of the time to challenge the process and in what they call testing the law, have delayed a lot of the recoveries. But within the ambits of the law, and you will find the EFCC and ICPC are doing quite a lot and have recovered interesting and outstanding amounts of property and monies. The issue you then find that they are also now saddled with the task of how do we manage these properties between the interim forfeiture and final forfeiture, and what do we do with them after? And those are the areas where I think the law is not very clear, but the agencies are actually doing quite a lot in getting recoveries for properties and stolen monies. I think they're doing a lot in that regard.
My question, let me bring it to you, Dr. Adeyi. I don't even know how to put the question, but here is it. A good number of times, perhaps Mr. Akosho has raised an issue of some limitations that the judiciary itself has. But is that all about it? We know that there are efforts, serious efforts being made by security agencies. I have heard it said that in some cases, the fight is fought, victory is achieved, but then those people who are convicted or whatever somehow find themselves back in society and all of that. So it begs the question whether or not, the law, after doing its own, is able to sustain its success.
Okay. Let me say that corruption is not new. It has been before Jesus was born. In the year 500 BC, before Christ, there was a case in Persia, the current day Iran, where there was a judge, Sisamnes, who was found to have received bribe, and then he gave unfair judgment, and that was during the reign of Cambyses II. And then the king summoned this judge and asked him to name a successor. As corrupt as he was, that judge, he named his son, Otanes, to replace him. And then the judgment was that the man be skinned alive. When we were in law school and this matter came in ethics class, I was afraid of the kind of justice system there. And then not only that, the skin that was removed from this man was used to do the upholstery work of the chair that the new judge will sit. That's his son. Now, throughout his reign as a judge, every sitting, every proceeding, he was always referring to the seat that the upholstery was made from his father's skin. And record has it that he was fair and equitable and he was never corrupt. So let me say that the problem we have, just like Ayo was mentioning, is that there are no consequences. And if there are consequences, the consequences are not too serious. Just as early as last week, I had a meeting with a group of businessmen, and one of our friends, Wale, said, a nation is doomed where public officers are richer than job creators. So I leave that for you to analyze. So, the people that continue to be corrupt, why they continue is because they saw 5 years ago someone who stole 50 billion is now moving around. So, and they feel, let me steal 100 billion. I also say that it's also about mindset we need to work on from primary to secondary to higher institution, because you don't actually need all of this money that you are stealing. If you spend 1 million naira every day, for the next 50 years, you will spend 18 billion 250 million. And so, for the next 100 years, you probably spend 36 billion 500 million. Therefore, what do you want to do with all of this money? So, I would say consequences that were not there. Because maybe if we have time, we can look at how Singapore handled corruption in their country. 4 principles they adopted, and they were successful. China also, even as early as this year, there were people that have been sentenced to death. And there were people that have been sentenced to life imprisonment for $325,000 bribe. So, consequence is a problem. Bad mindset is another problem. And you cannot, I am a lawyer, I will not sit here to blame the judges for inability to recover. Because even the case of the loot that you find in the hands of some officials of government, which is, you were mentioning the case of Malami or something recently, is that the recovery that the anti-graft agency were able to make, some people cornered the recovery to themselves. So, corruption taking place within anti-corruption activities.
Well, Mr. Ribabu, perhaps we are, as important as it is to talk about high-profile cases, we tend to ignore the roots. There is no tree that grows from leaves. It grows from the roots. So perhaps society has a thing or two to do about it. There are those who would point to the complicity, and I am sorry to mention you guys, civil service. Politicians operate in civil service. They are public servants, they operate with civil servants and all of that. And there are those who say that a PermSec, for instance, whether it be at the federal or state level, that's the COO. That's the person who knows where everything happens, and if the person is going to, if there is going to be any corruption or whatever, that guy knows where the yam is buried, the knife, and everything about it. So, do you think, if we don't look at it, do you think we are fighting corruption the way we should, or are we being proactive about it or reactive?
Thank you very much. Let's be specific. We are not proactive about fighting corruption. You see, in Nigeria, when we think that the problem is huge, we rise up and deal with it. So when Ebola came, the society rose up and dealt with it. COVID, we did our best. When we have, as election is coming now, you can see the way the courts are dispatching litigations by parties. We go to the National Assembly and get laws passed because we see election as very, very important, as critical. So when we think that a problem is something we need to deal with, we rise, well, because we do not understand that Nigeria don't have any problem. We don't have education problem, we don't have insecurity problem, we don't have health problem, we don't have food problem. The only problem we have is corruption. And corruption stays because not only is the system not able to prevent it, but there are no consequences, like Mr. Adeoye have said. So we do not deal with corruption, we do not give it the kind of attention it deserves. Look at, for instance, once these elections are over and parties have issues to litigate about, they go to tribunal, we have specified within certain time it should be done. But we see people steal money that has caused death. Somebody was telling me yesterday that if you take the cost of Lagos-Ibadan Express Road, for instance, if you give it price X, somebody has stolen more than that. And it means that that person has stolen a whole entire Lagos-Ibadan Express Road. But inclusive of all the lives that would have been lost and limbs that have been lost because they didn't do the right thing. I'm just using that as an example. So the reality is that we do not see corruption. For instance, people have corruption cases in court for 10, 20 years. And even when you eventually get conviction, the politicians have the power, the president, for instance, have the prerogative of mercy, and the person will be told to go and sin no more. So just like you were alluding to earlier, so even when the system, the judiciary and the anti-corruption system, culminate into conviction and we expect that consequence is now happening, the politicians can turn it around. So the problem is that we do not see corruption as the cancer.
The politicians can't do it single-handedly, can they?
Well, unfortunately,
it's systemic.
They do it single-handedly because the law empowers them to do it. So where we started this from is that is the judiciary doing enough? The judiciary do not exist in a vacuum. It operates under laws that have been enacted. So take, for instance, the Senate is recently talking about withdrawing and reviewing the Proceeds of Crime Act. Now that's a major issue because there is already provision in the laws establishing all these anti-corruption agencies on how to deal with forfeitures, proceeds of crime. Now the immediate past Attorney General, who a lot was recovered from recently, at some point formed one funny committee to say they are going to be dealing, and we took him to court. And the court upheld our position that no, you don't have to do that. Because their eyes, you know the way you say on the street, their eyes, they shook inside some of this, they want to re-loot the loot. And the court said, no, you can't do that. They just went to the appeal court, filed an appeal and hung it there. So now if the Senate is saying they want to establish an entity to deal with proceeds of, is another avenue for relooting recovered loot. Okay. And that is one thing we must fight against. So in Nigeria, we're not proactive enough.
Okay. Well, Mr. Keshu, you heard that. I don't know whether or not you agree with that. The court is, I think, the court is a reaction. The court, I don't know, you may speak to it. The court, I'm not sure, perhaps except the Supreme Court. The courts, I think, are the reactions of people. The court doesn't initiate these legal approaches, do they? The courts are approached for arbitration or whatever you call it. So the court really just sits there and waits. You bring the case, there's adjudication, and then there's judgment, and then there's execution, and all of that. So when we are asking the question whether or not the courts can save the country, I don't know what you want to say about that. But there is an issue that has been raised. Perhaps there are some cases that don't need to go to court if the process was strong and standing. For instance, the one that Mr. Ribabu just mentioned of the process of relooting the loot. When loot is recovered by the state, isn't there supposed to be a conduit through which it goes back to the state, back to some purse, some storage, whether it's hard stuff or small stuff? We hear that there's been a recovery of some estates here and there, some houses and all. Shouldn't there be a system that warehouses all of this loot and recycles it in governance?
Thanks. You see, under the AJCA, the law actually says that properties that are recovered can be sold, should be auctioned, and the money is paid to the consolidated revenue fund of government. So there is a process that enables EFCC to run an auction. And what you find, or what we found happened in the last administration, was an attempt by those in authority to reloot. It is not that the law doesn't provide for a way to do that. Yes, the law can be more robust, but sometimes I think the creation of another agency to manage that, why can't you leave it to the people who recovered it to also find a way to dispose of it? Because what they have recovered is assets or property. They can convert it to cash within themselves. And then the proceeds paid to government. I believe somewhere in the law as well, even if it is recovered abroad, there is a process for paying the monies back to government, and if it is an asset, then there is a way that it is brought back to the Consolidated Revenue Fund of the Federation. But I don't think it is because the agent or there's no law to support it. It is more from the fact that those who are in power, those who are in authority, are the ones who tend to abuse it. And sometimes I wonder if Nigerians just don't have a sense of history. Because you have seen it happen to people before you, that the monies get recovered, they get prosecuted, but yet the person coming next happens to fall into the same pattern. And like you mentioned earlier, could it be that the civil servants who are guiding them are the ones who lead them astray? Because if the civil servants do not aid or abet them, it is very unlikely that the man who's coming from outside will suddenly know how to pass it. We have seen situations where a minister was misled by civil servants around her to dealing with monies in the manner she was not supposed to do it. That was clear. And you could see the integrity of the officer by resigning at that time. And you will say that some are rather happy to walk along with those who are guiding them wrongly. And as long as the person they're guiding has an intention to make monies that is outside his income, then you would always find that corruption will continue unabated.
Well, Mr. Kiosho, is that process being followed proactively? We know our weakness, we know our vulnerability as a people. So if the process existed, is it being followed as it should? If it is not being followed as it should, is there a system that checks it to ensure that the needful is done? Because in another 10, 20 years, we will still be talking about the same thing if we're not careful.
Yeah, I mean, I think EFCC sometimes have been slowed down from doing this, from completing the process because of having to consult with executive arm of leadership. As was mentioned, if the Attorney General, who is a coordinating or supervising ministry over the EFCC, has an Attorney General that says, hey, wait, don't send it yet. We have to do a committee. And I know in time past, they've actually listed and engaged auctioneers, went through a process of selecting licensed auctioneers to do this. So the process is being followed. They may not be doing it as quickly or as often as maybe, but at the same time, there are appeals on many of those assets that are recovered, and until they go through the final appellate process, they cannot start dealing with them.
Okay.
Because final forfeiture at High Court can still be challenged at Court of Appeal up to the Supreme Court. As we saw recently that a judgment, I think, was given just yesterday or day before on the assets of a former CBN governor. And you find that until it got to Supreme Court, the EFCC may not be able to deal with it in a speedy manner.
Well, I know that Joke has a question, but let me quickly ask you, Dr. Ade, is the judiciary at risk of entrapment?
Yeah.
Because there are some cases that maybe it's not so common, but common sense would say that they shouldn't even go as far as the court. We know the right thing to do as human beings who have common sense. So is the court, is the judiciary itself in jeopardy when we are expecting the judiciary to do what society cannot do for itself?
So, because we are operating a democracy, it's not a military government where the leader can issue a decree and ask that somebody be hanged or killed. So the court system is important. But where we got it wrong, if you look at what they did in Singapore, they have the CPIB, Corrupt Practice Investigation Bureau, that allow anti-graft agency to investigate anybody. And then they report directly to the Prime Minister. Then they have the PCA, the Prevention of Corrupt Act, that allow you to check the bank account of family members of public officers, their relatives, at any time. So, what we didn't get right, the two other measures was that they benchmark the salary of public officers and civil servants to be the same with the highest in private sector, and then they simplify the bureaucratic system. So you don't have grease money being paid because somebody is trying to play you. Now, the challenge we have, you heard the learned Sikh talking about going to Supreme Court. We are getting it wrong. We should have a corruption court that have one trial court and one appellate court. And then the proceeding should not last more than 6 months. The trial, 3 months. The appeal, 3 months. So you have a corruption court that will have the power of a high court. And then the appellate court will be like Supreme Court and appeal court combined together. And the decision there will be final. Now, because of these loopholes and the pressure on the justices, the corrupt people, they play on our intelligence. There could be interlocutory injunction that will be tried up to Supreme Court. And then when the decision is made, you return to trial court, begin again. The dispensation will end. And so that's the challenge we have. So we need to do a reform to have a corruption court in place. In fact, if possible, it should just be one court. But because there could be errors in decisions, so you just have one appellate court that combines the power of appeal court and the Supreme Court. Then you have specialized judges trained to be there. People who have knowledge of forensic accounting, who understand movement of funds and so on. And by the way, there is no way you can steal. And this money, I mean, in Singapore, they even use lifestyle to investigate you. Lifestyle is part of the trigger.
So go to club too much.
Yes, you are a public officer, and then we just saw that, okay, before you live in a room and parlor building, now that you have this position, the next is that you just bought a Maybach of 500 million. We saw you at the club where you buy wine of 3 million. That lifestyle alone, and they have the intelligence officers deployed around the country. That was how they tackle this in Singapore.
That is on the condition that they will not, it will not become another political case.
So, do you agree with this, Janice?
I strongly advocate that we need to put a time lap to prosecuting corruption cases. If we don't do that, the people who steal our money, they are, you know, in Nigeria, all you need to do is make sure you steal well, make sure you hire the best hands, and be in the right circles. It could be a political party, it could be fraternity, it could be anything. Then you will most likely get away from justice. And we are not as helpless as it might seem, because in following the unexplained wealth order of the UK, we have something similar. For instance, these forfeitures have just been done. It is under the non-conviction assets forfeiture powers of the anti-corruption agencies, meaning that we can look at somebody and say, can you explain to us how you got this? EFCC uses that a lot, but unfortunately mostly against Yahoo boys. They need to step it up to working on politically exposed people, not just them, civil servants, and also people in the private sector, because nobody in public sector steals on their own. It has to be with connivance of people, especially the banks and other such service providers. So we are not as helpless. It's just that if you have enough powers, you can, frustrate the system. You can have one small matter, not the real substance of your matter, go to the Supreme Court, and 5 years, the person is still enjoying. After a while, you see people who are supposed to be facing corruption charges being appointed as ambassadors, being appointed as head of this, head of that. They are now leaders of political parties. So that's where the problem is. There are no consequences. This administration has not shown enough resolve to fight corruption. We had a lot of hope that the Buhari government will fight corruption to a standstill. But unfortunately, the first problem it had was in appointing the worst attorney general that anybody could imagine, who used all his powers as attorney general to actually obstruct the fight against corruption. Now, one would have expected that this government will come. I mean, the gentleman Attorney General, the LANEC, come with a lot of respectability and a lot of expectation from people. But we have not seen him deploying the powers of the Attorney General to really do what we expect for this country.
Could politics or political influence be an impediment? Because there are always, it seems there are always political considerations for every decision that any government has to take.
It is the reason why there is impunity. We have once heard that, oh, if you're in the right party, then all your sins are forgiven. And that's the reality. If you're still in Nigeria, if you have enough money to slow down the wheel of the judicial process, you are likely to get away with it. If you are in the right party, even after conviction, you can be pardoned. So there are some of our laws that we need to review. For instance, the powers of the president to actually say, okay, they are given state pardon. There should be some crimes that even if you are given state pardon, it can only probably reduce your sentence, but it should not remove you from the black book of the society. We need to have a black book. For instance, we have had for some years now the compendium on 100 most corrupt cases. And you see that many of the people who have reported on in the last 9 years have gone back into society as big men, as people who come on TV to talk about this, about that. You know, so it means that we have, one, a very short memory, and two, we are such a tolerant society that people do whatever, and once the next scandal bursts, we'll forget the previous one.
Maybe we are just forgiving.
We are really over-forgiving.
or just the happy people. So, you know, if I to come to you, do you think, how much faster do you think this process can be? I know that you advocate for maybe a corruption court that's solely for that reason. But how many of these branches, you know, would be established? Would it be just unique? Maybe the court is just located in one state, for example, because we have multiple courts across the country that have jurisdiction, you know, for different cases and different people. So how do you think that will work if we are to establish a corruption court? First, they have to go through legislation. They have to do this, do that, pass bill, do all sorts of things. So, I mean, how quickly do you think that can work, and how much faster do you think corruption cases can be executed if indeed we do have that?
Actually, there could be a procedural guidelines, and then you can do it administratively. For example, in Lagos State, Lagos is leading in terms of judiciary, and I give kudos to Lagos State and for what Professor Yemi Osinbajo did when he was Attorney General of Lagos State. In Lagos State here, there is a commercial court at Tapa on Lagos Island. Therefore, there are cases that you don't just dump with a particular court. So within the court system that we have, without necessarily building another one, we can actually pick judges, train them with the intention that you are going to deal with anti-corruption issues, and then the files will be moved to those courts. However, it doesn't take much time to get this law passed. The executive can sponsor a bill now, and they give it accelerated hearing in the National Assembly that, look, we're wasting too much time to attend to this. And by the way, these cases are disturbing other commercial transaction businesses. So let's just have corruption courts. And 6 months is, you know, long enough to take decision. Because even here, after final written address in courts now, is 90 days. The judges have to give their judgment. And you see, because of vacation coming, some judges are saying, we're not going to take matters that is going to final written address. Let's just bring cases for mention and so on, because they know they are watching them if they don't give judgment. So we can do the same. 3 months for trial court, appellate court, 1. This bill that they are going to send to the National Assembly, 2 pages, right? It's gone. And then they sit and say, look, we just want to take these people to this place. We don't want them to contaminate other civil proceedings and so on. Just like we have electoral matters, we have election petition tribunal, duly set up.
But isn't that okay? Let me ask, Mr. Akinsho, this proposition that Dr. Adeoye is making. We have the Code of Conduct Bureau and the Code of Conduct Tribunal. I don't know if you think that has any play in what we are talking about here, particularly in the proposition that Dr. Adeoye is making.
Dr. Adeoye's suggestion is brilliant, but specialized courts without judicial officers that are incorruptible is also going to be a joke. And he had said something earlier about how we can actually breach corruption. First of all, is that those who are empowered to do the fight must also be very well remunerated. That makes it unattractive for them to be corrupted. If judges are paid the same thing as members of the legislature are paid, different cadres, House of Reps, Judge of High Court, Senate, Judges of Supreme Court, and things like that, you will find that the reasons to be corrupt are reduced. If they're well remunerated and they are one that, look, after this, don't go and do it. Then, as you also mentioned, what you will find is that what is the body language you get from the top? If the top of the country says, this fight against corruption must stop, all these people, you have stolen before, but still no more. Look at what happened when the president found that security apparatus was not working well enough. He sacked everybody in the top of the military hierarchy, and you can see a renewed vigor in the fight against insecurity. If the man at the top says, look, a finger has been pointed at you as being corrupt, my friend, step down, and if you are found guilty, you are immediately tried. We can see the fight against insecurity growing now. The Orire children, those who are caught, are being charged to court soon. If that happens in corruption cases, and the presidency, starting from that place, says, no, I will not. Look at what happened when Kemi Adeosun was accused of doing something wrong. She resigned. That is what should happen when and that shows a presidency that is not allowing corruption in different things. But what you find is that there are double standards. In one case, it's okay to resign. In another case, someone is accused of corruption, steps down, and after a while is reintegrated. I spoke to a governor once. He was leaving office as governor, and he was then contesting for Senate. I said, Your Excellency, it doesn't quite make sense to me why you guys do this. If you are ruling the entire state for 4 years, 8 years, you now want to go and start representing a third of that same state. Is that not? I said, Dako, you guys, you have to understand that you have to remain in the corridors of power so that you know what is going on and can have influence. If the laws are being made by these guys who are formerly executive and are now going to make laws to sentence corrupt people to death, do you think that law will pass at all? Knowing themselves have done something wrong in time past. So they'll find every way to delay it. And until the number one person says, I will not have any more of this nonsense, that is when you actually see the fight against corruption take very strong head. Yes, they are trying now. The agencies are doing their best. But until we say, whether you're in government, whether you're in executive, whether you're a legislator, if you have been fingered for a crime, you will not be spared. A few governors have gone to jail before, but they have been pardoned, like you said. And until those kind of impunities stop, people will still continue to do what is wrong.
But I'm not sure that's good contribution that you have made to that, and you also heard Dr. Adeoye laugh at the fact that if they don't, I hope you can still hear me.
Yes, I can. Yes, I
can. He was laughing at the fact that he said if you set up a brilliant idea and you have corruptible judges, it's not going to go anywhere. But how about the code of conduct system that we have? Code of conduct bureau, code of conduct tribunal. Are they as active as they should be? One would have thought that that's a proactive initiative.
Like you said, the initiative is proactive, but are they as active as they should be? And when you get into office, you are supposed to declare your assets within a certain number of days. By the time you're leaving, you should also declare your assets. But who's monitoring it?
Yeah.
What is used more? It is used more as a trap to catch people who don't do it when you offend. We know you should do it, but nobody says anything until somebody wants to have you in the go. You shouldn't run foreign accounts as a public officer, but who checks? Many public officers still have foreign accounts, and nobody is asking questions. It is only those that they want to set up that they say, oh, we checked, he still has foreign accounts. So the agencies are there, but they're not working hard enough on those issues.
Right, how much better do you think we can do this now? We have a short time, we're closing now.
Yeah.
How much better do you think, we can do this? We have so many high-profile cases, as we said at the beginning. Nearly not enough of them are being, the process of prosecuting them, it seems as it drags on forever and ever and ever. How much better do you think we can do this, or is it the proper process that we're going through?
No, actually, and I would really appeal to the president. This current administration is doing a lot of fantastic reforms that can actually help this country, despite the pains. However, one thing the president should have at the back of his mind is that all of these reforms will not be worth of anything, will not amount to nothing if corruption persists at the current rate. So the president has to make this determination and unfortunately you have a very active, very credible EFCC, ICPC, NDLEA. The agencies are doing their job, but the political leadership must resolve. There's no way all these reforms will help Nigeria get to where we should be if we don't deal with corruption. That's one. The second thing is that there should be consequences, and we should stop punishing the right people. We did it in Nigeria. We dealt with, we allowed Malami to deal with Magu. We allowed Buratai and General Oloni Shakin to deal with army officers who were wrongfully replaced for those who committed offenses. 38 officers were wrongful, and it's up to now the system has not self-corrected itself. We need to deal with that. It's only the judiciary that has an effective mechanism of self-correcting, even though it's not catching up enough, but it has a mechanism of but the political system needs to self-correct.
Well, we could go on, and I've heard you strongly about consequences. I've heard consequences directly or indirectly from you all gentlemen about this, that we don't have consequences that are strong enough to deter people. And even where the consequences are played out, they are reversed by pardon, state pardon. Interesting. Thank you so much for your time this morning, gentlemen. Sulaiman Arigwabu is Executive Secretary, Header Resource Center. Dr. Olubenga Adeoyo is a chartered accountant and tax expert, arbitrator, international business lawyer, and president Egba Economic Summit Group.
Very important.
Which is incorruptible.
Yes.
Mr. Takwa Kyoshu is a senior advocate of Nigeria. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Yes. When we return, we're talking about food or a lack of it.
Or a lack of it, yeah.
In a moment. Stay with us. Thank you so much for staying with us. I've been extremely worried personally about this particular issue for a long time. Nigeria loses roughly 38 million tons of our farm produce every year to post-harvest losses. And that's a staggering drain of 3.5 trillion naira and 5 trillion naira. We'll get more details about that later. And that's also, of course, running into billions as well. The Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, along with local financial organizations, say between 30% and 50% of our total agricultural output is wasted along the supply chain before it ever reaches
The market.
consumers.
Consumers, yeah.
So, if you are wondering how come food is expensive, this is why.
This is why. This, amongst other things, but this is a major reason.
This is why. Because you produce yam. This yam that is selling for, say, let's say yam is selling for 1,000 naira now. Let's just say, because I know it's a lot more than that, but let's just say yam is selling for 1,000 naira. In other words, if with this, it could have been selling for, like, say, 500, or maybe even 300 naira. That's the implication, unless I'm getting it wrong. But let's speak with the experts this morning. Aziz Salawu is founder and executive director of Community Action for Food Security. He joins us from our Abuja studio. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, as well as Rama Adenioye, who is CEO of Rashak Farms and Agro Allied Limited. She joins us from Kano. Thank you for joining us this morning, lady and gentlemen.
Thank you for having me this morning.
Well,
thank you for having me.
Yes, I hear it is ladies first, so let us start with lady. This is, first of all, can you confirm the figures we just reeled out, that we lose between 30 and 50% of our agricultural output along the line? Can you confirm or refute it? And what are the things that Nigerians need to know and understand about this situation?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually would not be surprised if it's more than that.
More than that?
So yeah, I would not be surprised, right, if it's more than that. And yes, there are a couple of factors attributed to this. So we work directly with farmers, right? So we sort of like have first-hand experience as to what is going on in this space. And I'll probably say Nigeria has, I think, a market access problem that is disguised as a post-harvest, losses problem. So I think for me, if we tackle the issue of market access, right, this post-harvest loss of the thing that we're discussing will be something of the past. So the major challenges that we've, seen on the field, farmers farm without necessarily having a clear road path as to how they are going to sell whatever it is they've cultivated. And so I think this is multifaceted, right? So yes, market access is a major one. We need more processing, organization or companies that are able to offtake, this product from the farmers. We need, of course, more storage capacity, cold chain, warehouses, all of that. We need infrastructure, right? A farmer in Benue needs to be able to understand that after cultivating whatever, he or she has cultivated, these products are able to get to the end users as soon as possible, right? In the best of conditions. So these are, some of the things that make up or causes this issue of post-harvest losses. I'm sure as we discuss further, we'll delve more into what we think should be the direction we should be looking at. Some of the things, practical solutions that I think we should put in place. But yeah, I would personally say I think we have a market access problem that is disguised as opposed to harvest loss problem.
Will the proposed, or rather, much talked about off-taker system, will it help?
If it's done properly, yes. Right. So if it's properly executed, I think it will go a long way. I can't imagine if, as you are giving a farmer input at the beginning of the season, right, you're also handling over to the farmer an off-take agreement, saying whatever it is that you cultivate, I'll take it off. And they have an idea of what the price is. They have an idea of the specification that you need, they have an idea of, the quantity that you need. If all of this is going alongside the inputs that are given to them at the beginning of, planting season. So by the time the harvest comes, happens, they already know what is going to happen to the goods.
Okay. Well, Mr. Salau, I'd like you to speak to that as well, but perhaps a little differently. The Lagos State government, for instance, came up with this initiative. I think they talked about some 500 million or so resource to produce for Lagos. And it's a kind of off-taker agreement or off-taker system. Do you think governments at various levels, particularly all across the country, do you think they can help to stave this loss? Because 3.7 trillion naira, that's some $3.7 billion. That's a lot. So I think it's quite a significant portion of our budget, of our national budget. Do you think state governments themselves, can step in here and, as we say, save the day?
Well, absolutely, it can, but it really has to do with intentionality. And yeah, so I think it's really good that you made me, go through the subnationals, which are the state governments, because all of these things happen at the state government. So the first thing we need to understand is that if we are not able to control all of these things, it's really going to be the same. So what I mean by control, the first thing, which is very important, is data. So we have NBS in Abuja. They are very active. But at the subnational, are they tracking some of these things? To even know the exact amounts, So it is very important for a governor, the governor, to be very intentional about reducing post-harvest loss. Because it affects every other thing we talk about. So intentionality means the governor making sure that the commissioner of agriculture and other related, ministries, they are experts in that field. So gone are those days where we would, continue to reward, political, support with some of these things. We need to take some ministries very, very serious, because everything starts from the leader. If a leader is not intentional about what is really going to happen, what is going to drive a lot of things, especially when it comes to food, we'll still continue dragging the same thing. And that is why you see that Lagos is very intentional, because we have a very intentional commissioner making sure that there's budget allocation. Aside from the allocation, the budgets are coming out. There is intentionality about partnership to make sure that a lot of these things work. So if other states are really willing to follow that route, then now we can start talking about improving infrastructural facilities.
Okay.
So it means that there are discussions with private sector actors that are willing to bring in their investment to make sure that they are mopping up all of these excesses, at various markets.
Okay. Now,
So
what's been your own experience? My apologies for butting. What's been your own experience in this space? You are working against food insecurity. Your team is working against food insecurity. You're promoting food security as much as possible. But the challenge of post-harvest food crisis has been with us for eons as well. What's been your own experience? Perhaps people then will appreciate how sordid the situation is.
Yeah, so I can say that we have, direct experience, especially, with different markets when it comes to, post-harvest loss. And it may interest us to know that the issue or the challenges around food security in Nigeria has really gone beyond production. How do we make sure, even they say the little we are producing, how do we make sure it really gets to, scale through the markets? So all of these things, especially when we go to the local communities, it has to do with a lot of sincere sensitization and awareness. They need to understand, because if you go to for example, now the raining season, is here. It has been established. If you travel around, you see different local communities producing. So their major intention of producing is just to make sure that it really helps to improve their livelihood. They want to sell some of those things and cater for their family. But then it is really beyond now that, because we need to start thinking of how to, start adding value to some of these things. And that is why we talk about the food systems approach, which has to do with what is happening from production down to consumption. And everybody needs to, and all of these challenges is really a gap, low-hanging fruits that different people can actually tap into. And that is why we need to make sure that the food systems approach is even understandable. People understand what it means. And when they start understanding, the farmer will understand that, yes, he's already reaching out to people in the market while he's producing, on the farm. He's already reaching out to, transport companies, local logistics, to make sure that all of the things are moving from one place to the other, even at the locality. Because government will not do all of these things. The only thing we need from the government is the enabling environment. They are trying their best, but then at the subnational level, we need to do more. The state governor needs to do more. The commissioners, even if as little as they're willing to work together, the Ministry of Agriculture in a state is willing to work with the Ministry of Environment, willing to work with the Ministry of Transportation, and all of these things. A lot of things would improve because they are the one on ground. When we go, we make sure we try to sensitize, especially the policymakers at the local level, local governments, state governments, the commissioners. But then, if they are really intentional about all of these things, they understand the challenges and how it affects them directly or indirectly. A commissioner would make sure that it pushes, for budget increments, apart from allocation, making sure that those, budget comes out. Now, FAC goes, very well.
There's something interesting you said. I apologize again, Mr. Salau, for butting in. There's that good thing that you said now about food systems. And I've heard you mention the Commissioner for Agriculture working with the environment colleague and the transportation colleague. That's quite an ecosystem. Perhaps, how then can that help to stave off this challenge is another question to ask. But I'd like to ask you this first. I'll come to you on that. Let me take it to Madam. Madam Adenioye, this issue of losses, post-harvest losses, what is it attributable to? There are those who wonder whether if we were able to store better, maybe we can stave off some of the losses. There are those who also wonder whether or not we actually plan for the things that we produce. That before you produce, you're expecting so much harvest, and when the harvest comes, this is exactly what you're going to do with it, and then. What are your thoughts on that?
I think I actually spoke to this earlier, and I will 100% agree, right? So again, a couple of things. It's processing. It's even processing whatever it is that we are already producing, right? And then making them, for a longer, period. So increasing their shelf life, basically. You said something earlier. You said, there was a project that Lagos is asking, people to grow for them. But the question is, where is the growing taking place, right? So let's assume the growing is taking place in closer to Lagos, right? So meaning the logistics around that is a lot easier compared to if this growing was happening in the north, right? Where you have longer, travel time, which obviously affects this product. So it's a couple of things. Yes, we have to stop better, right? But I said something earlier. I said I think we have a market problem, right?
I heard that, madam, and it's quite a strong statement that you made on that. But I was just thinking, maybe if we were able to store better, anticipate the quantum of harvest we're expecting, I get the market challenge, but the person who worked for it, the farmer, doesn't want to experience the losses. So perhaps if we had better losses, beg pardon, a better storage system, for particularly for the perishables, maybe it will make a difference. That's the thinking.
Absolutely. So I agree with you 100%. Just like you said, especially the fruits and vegetables, right? Cold chain. That brings me to cold chain, right? I'm sorry, cold chain. If we invest heavily, in cold chain, this automatically helps, the fresh produce. But then again, we all know when it comes to, and this now takes me to financing, right? We all know that a lot of organizations or even financial institutions and whatnot are not looking at long-term investment. They want to give you funds and be able to start getting returns the following months, right? So we are not even able to provide this infrastructure that would help us, store and preserve our produce, better. That is, another challenge, right? Also, more importantly, government policy. I will not, take that out of the equation, right? So we want good government policy, consistent government policy, right? Typical example. I was just with some of our farmers here in Kano yesterday, right? And the word, majority of them use for what happened to them in the last planting season was calamity, right? And that's as a result of a single government policy. So we don't want to show by a government comes in, come up with a policy, 4 years time, and that government comes in, change the policy, and then it affects this. So the political will also has to be there. If we really want to tackle this issue of post-harvest losses, the political will has to be there. It has to be consistent, and all hands have to be on deck. It's not just government, it's the private sector, it's the development sector, it's the financial institution, it's everybody coming together and saying, okay, this particular issue, we want to tackle it, and not just pay, lip service to it. We actually want to, tackle them. So yes, there are a couple of things that can be done. I'm sure we don't have enough time to actually go into all of that, but yes, it's doable for sure.
Okay. Well, okay.
Right. So, Mr. Salau, there are various ways, to tackle this. Madam just talked about the infrastructure that needs to be in place. Of course, Ayo did mention the issue of storage. If we can do better with storage, but there's a lot of sensitization that we do know goes on from time to time. We always have one training or the other for small scale farmers, for people in the agri value chain. We have a distribution of fertilizer, distribution of farm inputs, and this and that. So many things go on. Why can't we also put this into perspective of training, farmers on how to store better, such that, by the time they harvest their produce, they can store it better, and then for onward transportation to the end users, even where you don't have immediate off-takers. You don't really have to have off-takers all the time. Off-takers just save us the headache of, doing a longer commute to the other consumers. So why can't we train farmers on how to store better, or put the infrastructure in place for them to be able to store better, or teach them how to put up those infrastructure for them to store their produce, such that we will not have so much loss at the end of the day?
Yeah, thank you very much. So just like I have said earlier, once we are able to follow that food systems approach, we would understand that even farmers don't really need training. What they need is sensitization, in the sense that a farmer needs to understand that, yes, you are producing. Can we identify people, that are into storage? Can we identify people that are aggregating? Can we identify people that are adding value? And it helps to solve the farmer's problem. So if the farmer is able to understand that, oh, if I'm able to produce this, I'm already discussing with people that are likely to, buy it or add value to it. Sensitization is really what we need. Aside from, government policies and all of those things. If a farmer understands that, oh, these people are the people I need to move from my product from one place to the other, he will be more intentional about what he's doing, and he will be able to, pass it to the next actor, who will then pass it to the next actor till it gets to what we are consuming in the urban city. Another challenge we are, or maybe another sensitization thing we need to really do is, the issue around traceability. But if we don't have the right systems in place, and that is why government, now we are in the age of technology, a lot of things are actually happening, a lot of solutions are in place to make sure that our post-harvest losses are drastically reduced. So if we are able to follow that route of understanding that the food systems value chain is very broad, and it is not necessarily, for a farmer, it is not necessary for a farmer to understand, to just, put all of those burden on his or her head. Once he knows that, oh, there's a structure in place, once he knows that if I'm able to move, my produce from my farm, or if I'm able to get some people they would come, they will mop it up, because now we are looking at how we can, now a lot of conversations are now around our value addition. We are trying to add value to, our cocoa, our cassava, our maize, and all of those things, even yam. So now, it is now for us to understand that everything has to happen at the subnational, where with the locals, where some of those things are happening. So it means that governments are making sure that they are creating some sort of subsidy for people that are coming to mop up some of these things. People that are setting up local processing facilities, to help the farmers to. So it's because when I go to the market sometimes, when I go maybe around maybe 8 a.m., we have to wait, for the pepper sellers to say, they will say that, oh, their goods have not arrived. So he's waiting for a particular transport company that will move those items from the farm or from the farm gate down to the market. And if it doesn't come, we are stranded. So it means that everybody must see ourselves as our brothers keepers. We must make sure that, when something is happening around maybe rural road infrastructure and all of these things, as a farmer, we must contribute to it, because it affects us directly or indirectly. And that is why even people that are not, farming or doing anything around the food systems, we must all be part of the conversation. Because when it comes to food, we understand that it is culture. It is what brings us all together. Whether you're a banker, you're a journalist, or anything, we must eat. And that is why we must all need to be part of this conversation. We must make sure we are holding government account, especially at the subnational level. We are naming, we are shaming people that are doing the right thing. We are commending them. The people that are not doing, the people that are not doing so much, we are encouraging them. And if they are not interested, we move them out. Everything has to do with collective responsibility. Everybody understanding that if we don't do this, we would not achieve this. And with that, a lot of things will change.
Okay, well, perhaps a related issue here, and I'd like to take this to you, madam. I just got a message now. Someone is asking, not about post-harvest loss, but post-purchase loss. And that's for you, Mr. Adeniyi. Not just post-harvest loss that we're talking about now, but post-purchase loss. There have been those accusations about too much chemicals in produce, which the intention, the objective of the producer is to delay spoilage of that product. Unfortunately, this has too much chemicals and whatever. Even if we don't know it, unfortunately, that kind of thing has affected our exports. We've had cases where farm yams are repatriated back to Nigeria, the country of source, simply because, as far as the other country or continent was concerned, there's too much chemicals. What are your thoughts on that, Madam Adeniyi?
Yes, so it happens, right? We cannot pretend like, people don't, do whatever it is they can to, preserve produce. Is that the right thing? Absolutely not. I mean, or are they going about it the right way? There are ways you can properly, preserve your produce without necessarily, going heavy on the chemicals. However, again, it's not like I'm trying to always, bring this back to like, our policies and whatnot. But these things don't happen in isolation.
Yeah.
So I get, and I'll use again last year as an example. We buy, produce, right? Grains predominantly, maize, soya beans, sorghum, and the likes, right? But then government allowed importation of grains, right? Which flooded the market. Now farmers have no choice. They either sell at a loss or try to see if they can store the maize or the grains however they know, how to see if the price, would appreciate. You understand? This is the cause and effect. The chances of, okay, if they had invested, sell their produce, at a good market rate and whatnot, we'll probably not even be having this conversation, right? So, and that is where organizations like ours come in. I think Abdelaziz said something about, the farmers sensitizing them and whatnot. There are a lot of private sector players, right, in this space already, trying to, match, farmers' produce to buyers, to off-takers and whatnot. And that is already happening. To be honest, I don't think a lot of farmers have the issue of who do I speak to as to how to sell my produce at a premium price, right? But when government policies affect those people that are not saying that should be doing this sensitization and then creating these market linkages and whatnot. It automatically goes back to the farmer and affect them. It's not rocket science really, right? So it's a combination of things. It's a multifaceted problem, right? And we need to be able to tackle it from all angles. You understand? So yes, these things happen. We need to train people better, right, on how to store their grains and their produce, and we need to provide resources, to be able to do that. Again, not just the government, but every sector. Like I said, government, private sector, developmental agencies, financial, everybody needs to come together and try to figure this out. Everybody, really, if we're really serious about, solving this problem.
Yes. Let me stay with you. I know that you've been speaking for a while. How can youth-led policy programs actually help out here? We've been campaigning and sensitizing for youths to get more involved. Perhaps when I talked about training the other time, Mr. Salau said maybe not training, but sensitization about the infrastructure that needs to be in place. So as farmers go to their farms, perhaps we can have more storage facilities or improved more than we have now, and for the ones we have presently, improved storage facilities, so that when we're sensitizing the youths and we're talking about agri value chains, the sensitization is not just about cultivating within farms, but actually going into the business of having the infrastructure, storage facilities to help farmers store their produce before they get to the consumers.
Yeah, so I think for me, and this is just my opinion, in working in this space over the years, I think we need less of talking and more of doing, in all honesty. I think we know what we are supposed to do. I think we have the answers to some of these problems. I said it earlier, I think it's just probably the will, the political will, and then pretty much everybody working together instead of like people working in silos. I think for me, that's probably what is missing here.
Okay.
I think we really know what we're supposed to do. Yes, we go for training, we go for this, we go for all of that, but it's about time we start doing and less of talking.
I totally agree with you on that. And well, it would seem, Mr. Salau, that the summary of this conversation is better systems, particularly storage systems. And Madam Adere also spoke about market access. Do you think those two are significant? And then you have spoken about the systems, of course. We have identified the problem of storage, and then we have also identified the problem of market access. Do you think that's a fair summary of the conversation, Mr. Salau?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And just to add that a lot of young people are doing a lot in this space. For example, at the moment, we are currently building a blockchain technology, that will be incorporated to solar dryers, for farmers, to be able to get their goods. Apart from getting it dried, there will be some sort of traceability. There will be some sort of, ownership, and we are able to understand where a particular product is coming from.
Okay.
And it also gives rooms for enough confidence for people to want to do a lot of things once it is transparent and efficient. So
Absolutely.
I think the structure is actually what we need to make
To
sure
work
that
on.
we get
Okay,
right.
all right.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for your time this morning. Aziz Salau is founder and executive director, Community Action for Food Security. We've also had Rahman Adenioye, CEO of Rashak Farms and Agro Allied Limited. She joined us from Kano, and Mr. Salau from Abuja. Thank you so much for your time, ladies and gentlemen. So when we return, we want to talk about agriculture.
Again.
Yes, but this time, agri-tourism. If this is your first time on Sunrise, you might be finding, well, what are they talking about? How can that have agricultural tourism? In fact, I can tell you this, you can make money from it. How? Stick with us, we'll be right back. Now, we have brought some confusion.
So, well, we want to deconfuse it.
It's confusion.
What is confusion?
The image you saw of a farm.
Yes.
Guess what? The farmers are all women.
Yes.
In that photo?
Yeah, is that a bad thing?
No. Incidentally, we are talking about World Fibroids Day and Women's Wellness Month. So what this has got to do with agriculture or agritourism, let's find out from the co-founder and managing director of Extra Large Farms and Group of Companies, Moji David. Thanks for joining us this morning. I will not be the one to solve the problem you have created. Okay. It's good to have you again.
Thank you.
How has it been?
It's been great, thank God.
Yeah. So, what has World Fibroids Day got to do with agritourism?
I think the larger question should be, what has wellness got to do with agritourism?
No.
Agriculture and
We understand that one.
That's where that stems from, isn't it? Yeah.
All of a sudden, you become a guest.
I'm just saying, like,
Look, I cannot sit between two
let
women and
her answer.
Don't you know what they say about women supporting women?
Yes.
This one.
And it's our month.
Yes.
I know you men are always jealous about how many days do they have Women's Day, Mother's Day, Nico Day.
Maybe we are the ones that gave you the days. Let's continue.
So, there is no how we can talk about health, wellness, without talking about nutrition.
Yeah.
And there is no how we can talk about nutrition without talking about agriculture. Because at the end of the day, the food comes from the farm. And in commemoration of the World Fibroid Day, which is on Tuesday, just this coming Tuesday, the 21st of July, we at Extra Large Farms have decided to, leverage on that to really educate our people, on the importance of, the food they eat, the quality of food they eat, the quality of rest that they also take. So we're coming from the core farming, which is food production, and then we're also coming from agritourism, which is giving you a space where you can, distress, and take in some fresh air for wellness. And, in Nigeria, for example, and not only in Nigeria, generally in Africa, or women of black descent, of color, you discover that, for every 10 women that you put together, you see between 4 and 6 of them that are suffering fibroids or fatty liver or some life-threatening diseases that are not majorly caused by, but, directly there's an effect of the kind of food they eat and the lifestyle that they live, on the diseases that they're suffering. So we have decided to establish a campaign, a massive campaign. It's actually 53 days long, started on the 15th of July and is ending on the 6th of September. And for the whole 53 days, we're saying everybody should wake up to the awareness of what they eat, how they live their lives in relation to agriculture. We are providing food remedies, to life-threatening issues. We're also knocking down the importance of taking periodic rest, intentional rest for their wellness. Yes.
Wow. That's a lot. So what we're saying, in essence, what you're trying to say is that agriculture is not just simply agriculture. It connects with every other thing that we do. So, what's your advice for people? I've seen a lot I've seen more on social media, and then the doctors say that there's a vegetable or a fruit for everything that you suffer, for every part of the body that suffers something. There's something that you can eat to take care of some things.
Yes.
I don't know if you could just reel out a few of those things.
Let me quickly. I mean no disrespect on any religion, but if you check in the Bible, you discover that the moment God created Adam, the first place he planted him was in the garden, in the farm. It's very intentional because everything he needs for healthy living, for his sustenance, has already been placed in the farm, and there was no mention of anything else. And God is not a forgetful God. So that means that if we go back and retrace our steps and go back to our roots, all we need for all that we're suffering today, it's already in our soil, in the farms. You understand? So it's very important that we connect back to that so that we can, become healthy. And you see the pattern of things that are going on these days, very life-threatening diseases, liver issues, kidney problems, and all that. And there is a food remedy for everything. I personally ate my way out of fatty liver many years ago. I make bold to say that. And we have thousands of people within our own extra large family who have been able to, leverage on the power of food, for health. There is one of the food products that we celebrate, very well in our community at extra large is the radish. And we have different forms of radish. You have the black, you have the pink, you have red and all that. We have the white one, that is grown on the soil. And I don't know, I keep asking myself, why has everybody not gotten a hold of this secret?
What's the difference between the colors of the radish?
Yeah, we're not even talking about the color, we're talking about the power, of the plant, the fruit itself.
Yes.
You understand? And you take it for different reasons. I will not come here to start saying on TV that, it cures this, it cures this, it cures that. But we have discovered that it is a very powerful food, a superfood that helps people to get better. It helps people to manage, their different health issues. Onions, people underestimate the power of the things. Ordinary onions. In March, we had a wellness campaign like this, and one of the things we used that time was African cherry, agbalumo, as simple as that. Chili, okra, ewedu, all these things. But there is a right way to use it. You understand? Now, the question is, if food can heal us that much, then why are people still sick all over the place? The problem is the presence of chemicals in the food.
Yeah.
In Yoruba language, they say, Orisha bo legbe mi, shemi bo sheba mi. Now, you're supposed to take food. When you take food, it's supposed to be for your healing. You don't just take food so that your tummy can be filled.
Yes.
You take food to address certain issues. Number one is to provide the necessary nutrients and vitamins that your body needs for its daily upkeep.
Yeah.
You understand? Then, if those things, those vitamins, those minerals are provided, then you will be well. But these days, we take food, there is no nutrient coming in from those food. Have we not heard about stories of, they want to make fufu or gari and they are putting bleach and all those things.
Yeah.
Have we not seen where they are producing palm oil? Even NAFDAC said it, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, where they are mixing coloring and harmful chemicals. So there is no way people will eat these kind of things and not fall sick. There is no way their kidneys will not be damaged. So we have to go back to the roots. We have to go back to how we can be able to access quality 100% natural food products that are void of chemicals. Even preservatives in our food is killing. I always tell people whatever food product that you hold in your hand and has more than a 6 to 10, 12 months expiry is not good for your health. Run. Because whatever is going to keep that food for that long is going to cause bigger damage to your health. Then we have forgotten our local heritage and we are importing with our own hands. We are using our own money to import what will kill us. What is your business with sausage and bacon and all those things? When you have your akara, you have your beans, you have your plantain, all those things are grown on our soil. Where's your garlic? Where's your ginger? Where's your tea? Continue. Continue your education. We have seen people. I don't want to mention because even our big, maybe I can even mention Professor Wole Soyinka ate his way out of cancer. Wow. He's alive and well today just by food and staying on a healthy, diet and lifestyle. So there are solutions, and these are the solutions that we are teaching people. We are not just teaching them. Yesterday we had a very powerful session. We are talking about obesity, we're talking about fatty liver, we're talking about fibroid. This Tuesday night is a massive day for fibroid. We're talking about cancer, cervical and breast cancer, colon cancer. All these things are, directly related to the kind of food that
I remember Hippocrates' dictum, let your food be your medicine, and let your medicine be your food. So you are inviting everybody to what you now call a food spital.
Yes, food spital, yes.
We are leading a wellness revolution with food and agri-tourism. In addition to the dictum you just said now, I also have mine that says, if it's not coming from the ground, it will soon take you to the ground. Wow. So when you hold that food in your hand, that's your ice cream and whatever. I'm not saying that we can't eat all those things, but it should not be, every time.
There's a friend of mine who says, let the distance between the farm and your table be as short as possible.
Yes.
That's our own way of saying
correct.
The same thing.
Absolutely correct.
We have also heard, perhaps it's all in awareness. I saw a video recently that scared the living daylights out of me. As one of the most common potato chips brands has nothing like potato inside.
Oh, yes.
I will not mention that brand so that we don't get sued.
Oh, yes.
But that it has not the flimsiest atom.
All you have there is potato flavor.
So now, you have said now that everything that we're talking about, there are always options to all of these things. So it's a function of awareness. Is this campaign that Extra Large is championing, is it all about awareness? Tell us about it. You've called it the 53-day
wellness revolution, the Extra Large Wellness Revolution.
Go ahead.
So basically, it's not just only about campaign. Oh yes, a lot of people are talking about stuff all over the place. But what are the solutions? So what we're treating are the cause, effect, and solutions, and then we're looking at the 12 pillars of wellness. Because it's not only about physical wellness, even your emotional wellness, your mental wellness, your social wellness, your intellectual wellness, and your financial wellness. Because if you're well and there is no money in your bank account, even the fear of that will make you not to be well. So we are balancing it. We are showing people, giving them the platform by which they can partner with us in promoting wellness in our society and be able to create wealth from that. We have wellness farms that people can be part of. We have wellness products that people can be part of. We are providing, right now we're recruiting and we're bringing about 500 young ones even into our labor force to still join us in this campaign, and they're going to be paid, earning in some very dangerous zeros. We are giving people the opportunity to be, you're in the diaspora, you are in Nigeria, you want to support us in this thing we're doing, by sending your money on an errand in that field, by promoting, by talking about it, to everyone that cares to listen, as we do wellness retreats. From agri-tourism now, we also now have wellness tourism, an opportunity where we bring people together at the farm. It starts from the quality of the air you breathe in, then the quality of the food you eat, then the quality of the sleep you have. All those things, they are interrelated, and we are building a complete ecosystem for wellness in our society. So the wellness revolution has started already. Actually, today is day 3, so we have 50 days more to go, and we have webinars every weekend for this event. We have the World Fiber Day coming up on the 21st. We have on the 8th of August, we have our Wellness Festival, where we are gathering people, we're running health checks, we're partnering with medical practitioners, we're practicing with certified herbal practitioners as well. We're bringing in emotional and mental experts, and we are bringing in farmers, to talk about the solutions. Guess what? We're even adding spiritual figures into it, because in Nigeria people always think, everything is in spiritual attack, spiritual attack, spiritual. At what point do you draw the line between spiritual attack and it's just a medical issue that you just have to face like that? So we're bringing everything together and also placing in the hands of people solutions to financial wellness as they join us in solving this challenge. So the information for all this is available on www.wellnessrevolution.netlify.app. And then the numbers, I think our numbers are on the screen. We have 070-8849-6478. Just send wellness to that number. It's a massive campaign. We are reaching out to 53,000 people in the 53 days. And already we have a lot of people, and we have living testimonies. You come to hear how people, survived kidney issues. Someone who has been going for kidney dialysis every 3 days suddenly place themselves, change their lifestyle, change their food, prioritize rest and all that, and then they're out of that. You see people suffering arthritis, you see people suffering glaucoma. Fibroid is killing our women. What can we do about it? What's the cause first? What is the effect? Not only on the woman, but our entire family and the community as a whole. Then what are the solutions, proven solutions in the agri sector and agri-tourism, as we combine it together in association with our medical friends and herbal friends to provide solutions to this. So just send wellness to that those numbers, 070-8849-6478. And distance is not a barrier. Location is not a barrier. This is not just a Nigerian thing. It's a campaign it's a revolution that we're taking all around the world. Thank God for technology. So digitally, everybody can be a part of it.
Yes. Everybody can watch.
Yes.
Oh wow! So it's a concept that many Nigerians, I would say they are just getting in tune with it. But really, I don't know. Maybe I was at an event yesterday, a children's event, and it was difficult to get people to clap for children's achievements. When they say a round of applause, they're just there, not clapping. So I'm thinking, we know that we should clap. We're just not interested in doing it. So I take that to this, that people know some of these things. They're trying to create the awareness, but what has the acceptability been like? Have you seen a lot of enthusiasm?
Oh my God.
Are people showing interest that they want to do it, or they just say, yeah, we know about this, but let's just leave us where we are. Okay, all right, we'll get to it one day, maybe.
Do you know that we at Extra Large, we've always been, inclined towards, health, wellness, and all that, because, we have about 21 different food on our shelves at the moment, food products, and everything is tailor-made to solving people's health. So, but with this revolution, with this campaign, we discovered that people are suffering in silence. We opened a group to educate people, and in about 4 or 5 hours, we had over 750 people join that group. And everybody has something that they're dealing with. So the acceptance has been huge. Everybody is interested. If you are not suffering we're not even talking about what they're suffering at the moment. Prevention is also preventive health care is also very important. Don't wait until you fall sick. Don't wait until something is wrong with you before you start looking for solutions. And then the reason why we're spotlighting women is because women are the caregivers of the family.
Yeah.
If you train a woman to be well, and then you make her well and you orientate her about wellness, she will, at the end of the day, make a family well, make a community well, make a society well. So the acceptance, the response has been very, very impressive. Okay. But we are still calling for more. Okay. We want to reach out to 53,000 women. Like on Monday, we're even in partnership with some medical interventionists from South Africa who are going to be talking about uterine fibroid direct. We're not even talking about any other thing. What are the solutions to this thing? And how can people prevent it? If you don't have it now, how will you ensure not to have it, in the nearest future? Okay. So all those things are there. Plus, Kudi, you have to make money. Okay. You said some people are not clapping. Their mind is not there. They are emotionally unwell. They're thinking, the mind is just roaming up and down. So we talk about all these things. What is your state of mind? What would be the things that can give you peace? Yoruba will say, I'm sorry, Mr. Ayo, I'm coming back to Yoruba adage again. So when money and food is out of your challenges, the things you want to think about, will be really
we saw on the screen the other time, agri-tech city.
Yeah.
What's that one again?
So Extra Large Farms proudly owns the biggest luxury farm resort in Nigeria, and it's a resort that is established right inside a farm. Yeah. Somewhere there along Otaidiroku Road in Ogun State. And it's intentional. What we're doing with it is intentional. We're changing the narratives around agriculture. We're trying to wear a new apparel. And thankfully, even our president said we should try to make agriculture sexy. So by establishing a resort in a farm, bringing people to the farm for other reasons apart from farming, and they end up falling in love with farming. Yeah. And then from agriculture, we now begin to bring other things. Technology is something that we're deploying massively. And then, we also now we are able to bring in a healthy food production. You come to the farm, you see. This is not just about, talking. You are able to see and have a taste. We talk about culture, we promote our culture, we promote our heritage, and then it also helps to promote wellness, your health. A lot of people are going through stress. Yeah. Nigeria is stressful. We all know that, And sometimes you even say you want to travel out of the country. You've traveled, you come back, you are more stressed than you left.
Which country is not stressful?
So at the resort, at Extra Large Farms and Resorts, it's intentional. When we receive people, we want them not to just enjoy themselves, but to live healthier than the way they came.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, whether like it or not, the numbers on the screen and the website, they are active. We have hosted Moji Davis a few times on this program, and every time she comes here, she wants you to make money. Yeah. So maybe when you go to
the question is, do you want to make money? And I'm sure that's a yes.
What are you talking
about? We call it agri-wealth.
So maybe when you go to their farm, you see a tree where they mint money.
Just block money from there.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having us. Thank you
co-founder
very
and
much.
Managing Director of Extra Large Farms and Group of Companies. We appreciate your time.
We appreciate it too. Thank you for all.
So when we return, holiday is called. I forgot that song.
No more buying bread.
No more.
No more teachers fed. Goodbye teacher, goodbye scholar. I am kidding. Today is holiday. Holiday.
Then what? We'll find out when we return.
I don't even know if those words are accurate. Famously found the words that so eluded me.
Okay.
Holiday is coming. Holiday is coming. No more teachers, no more money, no more teachers, no more money bells, or something like that. Goodbye, teachers, something. Today is holiday.
There are so many people who will remember that song with nostalgia.
Yes, a very famous song.
Now,
I wish they would have played it for us.
who is the day?
The day. You get behind the scenes.
So, you know, children are going to be on holiday soon.
Some already are.
Yeah, some already are on
Yeah.
holiday. In fact, I got home yesterday. My children were saying, Daddy, we are now on holiday.
Yes, please.
I said, and so?
Do the needful.
What I am going to do. Beg. Anyway, so it's for children, it's supposed to be fun. And hopefully well-deserved rest. It's a good break from school, but whether or not it comes with rest, that's another matter altogether.
Yes, because the summer school is coming.
So, but I want to speak to a particular category of children.
Children, yes.
Teenagers.
Yes.
The holidays can feel very, very different from them. For them, very, very boring, very whatever. They like the idea of going out of home, but they don't like the idea of going to school.
To school, that's it.
Now, incidentally, parents now worry about what to do with them, how to keep them engaged. So a good number of times they defer to screen time, more screen time, increased screen time after all, you are not going to school. Irregular routines, how to keep their teenagers mentally and meaningfully engaged without turning the holiday into another pressure period or another school term, the fourth term of the year after 3. So the question now, Joke, is how do we strike balance, the balance? How do we strike the right balance? How do we give teenagers the rest they need while helping them to grow confidence and all of that?
Right.
Those are some of the things that I think we should be talking about today.
Yeah.
So our guest today is someone who has worked with teens for a good number of years. She's a parent and teens as well as a clarity coach. Motolani Abe joins us this morning. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Your children, because I know that you have every Saturday you engage teenagers.
Yes, I do.
In the afternoon. So, first of all, what are the concerns you see for parents? Once upon a time, during school hours, they take them to school. Now, they don't have to take them to school. And in fact, the roads are freer in the morning during long holidays.
Yes, please.
So, what are the things that parents do that perhaps need some moderating this time around?
If you go on social media, I think I saw one video yesterday, and I saw 3 kids just barge into an apartment, and the woman was saying, "What are you guys doing here?" And they said, "Oh, holiday is here." I said, "You guys just vacated yesterday. You're in my house today." And they said, "No, you people should go back." And their mother was right. They said, "Go back where?" No, they are here.
We're all here.
And so for parents right now, they are thinking, "Oh my God, these kids are home," and they are thinking about how do I engage these kids. You know how parents are happy that at least let your teacher go and deal with you from morning to maybe evening. I have limited time to deal with you except on weekends, but right now they're home with you all day. So parents, first of all, are thinking, I'm very busy. How do I engage these kids? How do I ensure that they are properly engaged and there is not too much screen time? They're not doing things that would make me happy during the holiday. At the same time, they are thinking, okay, even if I am home or I'm a stay-at-home mom, how do I properly engage the kids? So that sort of brings some fear, and that's where you see parents, I've seen kids during the holiday who are doing like 4 things. I mean, this child is saying, I have swimming, I have a summer camp somewhere, I'm gone for 1 week. I have another when I'm back, I have something 2 weeks. So it looks like these kids are happy that it's holiday, but the parents are not happy. There's no congruence between parents and kids. So child is thinking, oh, it's holiday time, it's time to rest. Mother is thinking, rest for where? In which house? Let's look for somewhere else to put you in. So that's what the challenge is right now, and it's important that both parents and child come together and agree on what this holiday would look like this time around.
Now, in a good number of homes, screen time is highly regulated during school period. And I'd like you to speak to that, because for any child, holiday time is screen time. Now,
Finally.
science has also shown us the huge damage that an overly stimulated brain, too much screen time does to a child.
Okay.
But guess what? The child couldn't care less. The screen time is exciting and want more screen time. So first, let's speak to that first, because sometimes moms just want the children engaged so that they are not disturbed.
Yeah.
And screen time is the easiest solution. What are your thoughts on that? Let's deal with that first.
Your child can actually learn even when it's screen time. So the question is, are we allowing the kids to determine what they do on the screen? Because there are quite a number of things. You can read a book online. You can learn a skill online. So screen time cannot be limited to just game. Yeah, as much as we want to give them time to maybe play a bit more and maybe spend more time with their games during the holiday, because I mean, it's holiday, it's rest, some form of compensation for a job well done, you know, during the school period. But right now, it can actually be regulated to say, so this is number of hours you're going to spend on the screen this holiday. What are we going to be doing? Is there something that you want to learn? So it has to just be regulated. It's not something you want to impose as a parent on the child. At least, well, because we're talking about teenagers, you want to ask questions. So what is something you probably want to learn this holiday? Would it be something that is, you know, maybe learned online? You know, some of kids will say, oh, I'm learning video editing, or quite a number of skills that they now learn online. So when you're learning, is it also regulated to say what is number of hours that you're using to learn? Because these kids, I have kids who are in class and then they are not in class. You know, they're so smart because sometimes they're with you, they're watching, you can see their video on, but they're actually not there because they're doing something else. And sometimes I also look at their eye movements. You can see that this child is probably getting, there's a screen just by the side in front of the screen where he's looking at you, but he's actually not still looking at you. So his parents having conversation with the kids ahead of time to say, what are we going to learn this holiday? Even if we're learning the learning is going to be on the screen, but then it should be regulated to predetermine what it is that we're going to learn. So it's not just free screen time. So yes, it's screen time, but what are we learning? What are we getting from that screen time? Are we developing a game? Are we shooting content? Maybe that you want to maybe share? Do you have thoughts that you think teenagers like you would want to learn from?
There is a dynamic that I'd like you to speak to, madam. I love the idea that you are postulating, like parents should be involved in the lives of their children.
Yeah.
It's the ideal thing.
Thank you.
But as we say, this is Lagos. Yes, I know you are watching from other parts of the country and other parts of the world as well. Probably a similar challenge with you as well. But in the urban world where parents go to work, sometimes they come back home with work. Some work from home. They were happy that there was no distraction before holiday. Now there is holiday. They have to work at home and manage this distraction. I'm sure you must have seen that video of that guy who was on TV at a meeting. I was a guest on TV, and then the children ran into the screen before him, behind him, and all of that. So that is there. So when it comes to moms and dads sitting with their children, I'd like you to help give them perspective about how those conversations should go. Because some parents grew up with trauma and they're not ready to sit with one child who will be asking questions they have no answer to. So help us to get that balance so that the parent is not wearing a Captain America shield when they are talking.
I'm going to start from the part where you mentioned that some parents actually work from home. And right now, they're beginning to think to say, how would I survive with these kids during this holiday, knowing that I will be working from home and the noise? I think that we underestimate the intelligence of these kids.
Yeah.
I know a family who, every time their dad, these kids are less than 10, they're boys. Every time their dad is in a meeting, they know they are the one who will be telling other people, no, don't be, daddy is busy. Daddy, because daddy had consistently told them, see, this is what I do. This is how daddy makes money. This is how daddy does what he does. So every time you see me seated here on this seat, it means I'm in a meeting. When you see me having conversations, whether I'm on a call or there's someone around, it is very important that you guys don't come to disturb me unless it's very urgent and very important. Now, sometimes what is important to you or what is important to them, you might think is not important to you. So they are coming to tell you, oh, Kule pinched me. To him is important to him, but to you, you're thinking, oh, couldn't you have waited? So we then create scenarios of what is important, what is urgent, right? Before you're able, if you're hungry, you know what to do per time. So you have created different scenarios to say, if this is it, this is what you do. Not leaving it to, when they want something, they will come to you. So is that consistent conversation? You would think, oh, they are too small. No, 4 or 5, they all know. They might just be looking at the corner, standing by one corner, looking at you, waiting for that to be done. We're still here, we're waiting. But you cannot underestimate the conversation part. And let them understand that this is how daddy works. This is what daddy is doing. This is why it is important. So every time you need something, and then there's a code to say, what if that is very urgent and I cannot wait? Okay, maybe wave, we have to agree ahead of time. Maybe wave this at me or stand in front of me consistently for 10 minutes, then I would know that, oh, this is really urgent, and then I will create time to show up. They just want to know that even while daddy is very busy, daddy is still thinking about me. And so sometimes even when the father is busy, he's still looking at them and saying, yeah, I see you guys, well done, I'm proud of you. And there is a reward for good behavior. To say, for every time you don't disturb daddy and daddy is in a meeting, there's a reward. Maybe extra 30 minutes of screen time, or maybe they get something that they love. So they feel they are patiently waiting for when daddy is done, because there is reward for behaving well. And then when out of some days they had to maybe disturb daddy, it's not punishment that comes. It is to say, what happened? I thought we had an agreement. You want to understand what it is that could not wait, that they had to budge in. And that's, so it means that it is doable. It means that it is possible. But you dish out instructions. See, when I'm busy, I'm working, don't come and disturb mommy. It's just, they don't understand what your work means. They don't understand the importance of not coming to you, right, when those, when your activity is going on. And even when you're working from home, it's flexible. You can have a 30-minute, mommy is on break, what are we doing? Should we quickly maybe make something together in the kitchen? Is it story time? Should we play? But because you also have that 30 minutes and you think, see, this 30 minutes, let me just rest. So can you infuse that, your rests, into your activity time with them? I have a mother who says, when I want to rest like that and I need to sleep, I tell my girls to come and make my hair. It's relaxing. They are excited. Oh, mommy, is allowing us to make her hair. She's saying, let me use this 30 minutes, to rest a little bit. And some other time she's telling her boys, okay, that's another parent now. Oh, come and rub mommy's leg and let's gist about, so just different activities that you could do together that helps you get the rest. And then I also give them some form of time and attention with you. So that I think that works.
Yeah, that's great.
It sounds all good.
Yeah.
It is when it comes to implementation.
That's the
problem. But that's why I said you will give room for the days that they will forget.
But the question that I want to ask really, I mean, you've said something very, very important. And I think we underestimate it. The place of conversing with your children.
Yeah.
It doesn't start when that child is 13.
No.
It starts when they are much younger.
Yeah.
So imagine, for instance, that conversation hasn't occurred for a long time. I know of a parent who told me that the child, I think about 15 or 16 at the time, walks up to the dad and says, Dad, I used to talk to you before, but I can no longer talk to you again. Why? For some reason, there was a policy in the house and there was no conversation. And the man just became, quote unquote, absent. And before you can go to God, you have to go to Jesus Christ. And so the children weren't really happy about that. Perhaps because there was no conversation with them. How should those conversations, is this holiday period a good time to have that conversation?
Yes. But first of all, you want to understand the damage that is done. Let's start by, I'm not sure I've been I'm trying my best. I want to be the best daddy. I want to be the best mommy for you. Is there something that you think I could have done differently? It's like you're taking feedback. Because you cannot know what to work on if your report card has not been given to you. To ask questions. How has daddy been doing? How has mommy been doing? Is there something you want us to improve on? Is there something you think we could do better? So no judgment zone. It just looks like, and it has to be sincere. See, when you are trying to get information from kids, they know. They're also trying to test you. And they might also tell you things that should ideally annoy you, and they want to see how you react to it. If you react, don't worry, they would not say anything. But if it is genuine, they would also see to say, I want to do better. I don't think our relationship has been the best, or I don't think that we've been in a space where I want us to be. I love you guys too much. I want to be a part of you. You know, just conversations that get them comfortable to say, okay, I think daddy means this. And that you tell them once does not mean they will open up to you. So if they're not, if you say nothing, okay. If you say that's nothing, and then you tell them something that they've done that you love so much, you know, let it be more of something that they are doing well. Less of, oh, but you didn't do this, you didn't do that, because they already feel very judged by the parents anyways. So another time again, and you want to anchor such conversation on an experience. What is something that maybe the child likes? Maybe we go on a walk, or daddy and daughter just drive around, or we just go to a lounge to maybe have some meal, you know, just something, an experience for them. So it's not just conversations that we're having in the house regularly in the living room, or it could just be, oh, come to bed, let's gist on the bed, something that is unusual. So you can anchor that conversation around an experience, or it could be that we're going to the pool, or we're going to the cinema, just something that gives them an experience, something they remember. And then while you go, you're having that conversation to say, how have I been doing? What would you have wanted me to do better? Or was there something that happened recently that you think I didn't handle properly? Or maybe I had said something to you that hurt you that we have not had a conversation about. You want to know where the child is for time emotionally, in terms of how they feel about you as a parent. You're always going to be their parent, but there are significant emotional experiences that are happening in the course of you parenting them, and you want to be carried along on those, you know, experiences, so that they don't want to grow up and say, oh, I remember one time my daddy did this, and we couldn't have a conversation. You know, so it's important that you consistently have that conversation, but in a way that helps the child open up, in a way that makes them feel safe to even have that conversation with you in the first place.
You know, it's a long walk. How about let's talk about the situation where mommy and daddy may have different approaches to parenting. Where that happens, there could be the tendency for the teenager, the child, any child, to feel, okay, mom's on my side, dad's not, or dad's on my side, mom's not. How do we balance that? Because, as you said, children are not just listening.
They're watching.
And naturally, everybody wants to pitch the tent where to please them.
Of course.
So, you know, help us speak to that.
And that's why we usually would say that every family needs to have a vision. Where are we going? Even if you're co-parenting, even if it's that the parents are not together, we're just co-parenting. The question is, the child here is the main person, is the main actor here. What do we want for this child? What will deliver the results that we want to see with this child? Not what I want, not what you want. What is best for the child? So I usually would say to parents, especially parents who are co-parenting, who maybe are not together, even people who are together sometimes, they just have different approach. If you are raised in a certain family, this is how we do our thing, and the partner is also raised in another family, and this is how we do our thing, we need to agree on what will be best for our kids based on the kind of kids that we're raising. Not, this is how my mother raised me, or no, this is how my father raised me. And both partner will say, but I came out well anyways. So which is the best? So we're going to pick what worked best for the wife's family how were you raised? What is a good thing that we can pick from how you were parented? From the husband's family, we're picking. Sometimes you are unable to pick anything from one person's family. Yeah, it's okay. But to say that what would deliver the best results for this child, the child has to always be the center of, whatever it is that we're doing, and not just, I want to be right. You don't want to be right or wrong. It's peace and progress.
Yeah.
It is what would deliver the best results for our child, not my approach is the best or your approach is the best. So if truly the parents care about the child and they want the very best for the child, then it wouldn't be about who is right, who is wrong, whose approach are we using, but rather we're picking what works here, we're picking what works here, and we're looking at the child to say, based on who this child is, what is best for this child.
There is also something that happens during this period. There are parents who can afford it, take their kids on vacation. And vacation is always a good thing, a good way to learn. But then it's the purpose behind it, rather, not the purpose behind, the purposefulness of it. What would you recommend to parents now concerning the purposefulness of how the kids spend their holidays, be it they travel, whatever it is that they do? What should you've spoken about the kids themselves, parents having those conversations with the kids, not foisting it on them. What's the purposefulness that parents should be considering?
So for parents who have the means to say, oh, we're traveling to this country or we're going here for holiday, why are we going there? Are we going there just because we have the money? If we go to, what is the reason why we picked that location in the first place? Is it something that you decided because you have always wanted to go to that country? Is it even a country that maybe supports the values that you want to imbibe in your kids? What is the culture of the place that you are going to? These are all the things that you put into consideration, not just, oh, we have money, this is the country. I, as a parent, I feel like, oh, I've been seeing this everywhere. People are talking about this country, this is where I want to go to. If we are going there, are we going there to check the culture of the people? Have you researched the country? What are they known for? Are there places or locations or places that you want to sightsee? There has to be learning, even when it's a holiday. So if we go to this place, what is known about the culture of the people that you want the kids to experience and see and learn from and say, oh, let's go here, this is what they are known for, and let's see what we can get from it. Also, you want to ask, is it a meal? To say, oh, this place, they are known for maybe good meals. Let's go try out, amazing meals in this country. So we already planned out, maybe day one, this is what we're going to try out. It's something, it's pre-planned. Even everyone who is going on that holiday is excited already to say, okay, we know the reason why we're going on this trip. Yes, we're going to rest. Yes, we're seeing another country, but there's something that we're looking to experience. If it's some level of serenity to say, we want to learn how to quieten our mind on this trip.
Right.
So maybe we're going to this location, maybe where we're staying is by the waterside or as an island. We're learning to stay quiet. We're learning to meditate. So it's not just activity. The activity is tied to a learning that by the time you're back from the holiday, you're asking, so what did we get from this holiday? So it's not just, oh, we've gone to buy shoes, we've gone to buy. What are the learnings? What have we gotten from this holiday as a family and as individuals in the family?
Perhaps it may be a learning curve for parents as well. You've worked with many teenagers. What's the one thing that, they've told you in confidence anyway, that they wish their parents understood about them?
They usually feel like their parents are not listening. It's the constant number one. My parents don't listen. My parents don't know me. And how do you know someone that you are not listening to? And the parent says, no, but I was listening to you when you said something yesterday. You were listening to respond to the child. You were not listening to understand what the child was not saying from what they're saying. Sometimes your child is just asking for attention. They might not necessarily say, Mommy, give me time or give me attention, but from the things that they say, you are to pick. It's a skill that needs to be learned. How you're learning from what your kids are saying, the things that they are not saying. So the number one thing I hear is, my mom does not understand me. my parents are not listening. They are not listening. So when you're not listening, you don't understand. And then sometimes the kids also feel like, especially for teenagers, I'm becoming somebody. I'm getting to even know who I am as a person. But my parents want to insist. And see, that you brought the kids to life does not mean that you know them. You are the parent. You live with them. They are becoming something. They are on a journey. You don't know their end. You only know from when you have given birth to them to where they are right now. Your job is to guide. Because you don't know the entirety of their being or their life. So it is important that you're paying attention. Consistently, you're observing. You're asking questions. You want to get to know. Because these people are forming their own person. And for every time you attack them, you're not doing this well, you did this well, they feel it looks more as an attack on their person. But so that's usually where the conflict is with teenagers.
Have you seen these things on social media? How do you know I have a Nigerian mother? Or how do you know my mother is African? This one that you're saying.
It's a very, very interesting thing.
Yeah.
I would love for us to still host a conversation about this again, Joke,
Yeah.
because the fact that parents don't know their kids is such an epidemic.
Yeah.
But you usually think they know.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
They say, I know my child. No, you know what the child wants you to know.
Yeah.
About them.
So it's very dreaded. Anyway, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you so much for having me.
Abe is a parent and teens coach. She's also a clarity coach. Thank you again for your time and all the best always. Yes.
And when we return.
Well, Joke has said that there is, how do you know you have a parent, an African mother, an African father? Sounds to me like story time. Our artist of the week is a storyteller.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about Tales by Moonlight, though. And if you want to go to Tales by Moonlight, you'll find out where we come from this break. Our guest, artist of the week, is a filmmaker and storyteller with an astonishing creative latitude in the production ecosystem. His career as a professional filmmaker took off in 2014 in Cape Town.
All the way.
Yes.
All the way.
Before xenophobia became a thing. After he completed his film certificate course at SAE Institute, he returned home and never looked back. His short film, The Mechanic, which has refused to give us to watch, was voted the best short film in Nigeria in 2017 at the Abuja International Film Festival.
Yeah.
In 2019, to further his horizon, he took a detour into the corporate world of agency production. Since then, he served as head of production of one of the most cutting-edge production agencies in Nigeria, where he worked in different capacities and on several projects as writer, director, producer, sound designer, editor, channel, several, you name it.
You name it.
Ladies and gentlemen, drum roll, please welcome Timmy Pudi.
What a long.
Sometimes when you hear, I'm very sure you're wondering, who are they talking
Who are
about?
they talking about? Is that me? Could that be me?
It's amazing.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
You know,
here.
my producer has a thing for people in front of the camera.
Yeah.
Because they are the people that many people see.
Yeah.
But I'd like you to give us an inkling into what stars are made of that we don't see.
Yeah.
You are a should I say a star maker? You know, you see a talent. This person can do this thing fantastically well, and you say, okay, let's go for it. What are the things that you think that people need to understand? Give us your experience of working with different people you know, and you know what it is that goes on behind the scene that many people don't really see or know.
Well, a lot goes on behind the scene. Like I said, for those of us who are behind the scene, one of the strangest things people don't get most times when you see a lot of people who are directors, producers, loving behind the scene, being in front of the camera, horrible. So sometimes when I tell people I'm camera shy, they're like, you, how? You know, but a lot of times being behind gives you, for someone like me, the ability to be able to see the big picture. Sometimes you see people who have something to offer, and sometimes they don't even see it in themselves. That ability to help them bring it out. Then there's also the flip side of working with people who are experienced working in front of cameras, how to manage them. Because it's a big difference. Working with someone who you're just grooming is not the same as working with an experienced actor or someone like that. I play a lot in the documentary space and commercials, so that's one space where you meet a lot of people who are not very camera friendly. Many who don't know. So as documentary filmmaker and storyteller of my core, part of what I've learned over the years is how to make anybody feel comfortable in front of the camera. Most times having things like the pre-interview, before the interview, getting to bond with them. And I've had many times when I had this trick where I tell my camera person, don't roll yet, let's just gist. But they understand that that's a cue of start rolling. And then I have these conversations, and then we're gisting, and then the person is just free talking, and by the time we're done, I'm like, okay, cut. And they're like, what are you cutting? I'm like, we're done. I'm like, no, but we're just rehearsing. In that space, for most people, that's the best way you can get the most natural feel. Like, I tell people, I don't care who you are. Once the camera starts rolling, you start acting.
Regardless.
Regardless. So we have to learn, and in documentary, there's something we call the fly on the wall, the ability to be there like you're not there, so that you can get these people when they are feeling like nothing is happening. So as much as possible, we try to do that. I give the example sometimes, it could be in church. You are in the spirit worshiping, and then you just open your eye and the camera is in front of you. You will come back to it because somehow the human in you kicks in and you're self-conscious. So it's a world that you keep navigating every now and again. And to be honest, there is no one size fits all. What works for A may not work for B completely. So this person today, you did this, and then they were able to. For another person, you need to understand them well enough to know what will make them tick. So for me, it feels like psychology. You're studying everybody you meet, and a lot of times when people come around me, it feels like you study people a lot. You observe people. I'm like, it's my job. I have to do that.
Now, I would like. There are two things I'd like you to do. You're going to give us a masterclass this morning, but before then, tell us, because I think this is lost, and the African story, I think it's largely lost. When people, I tend to play on Facebook a little more frequently these days, and I have no idea why. I don't even know how it started. But I see a lot of stories, right? And some of them AI, but I'm not even as much a big fan of AI videos because they're always looking in the wrong direction. But there are a lot of African stories that are untold. So what are we losing anything from that? What are we losing if we are? What are we gaining if we are not? And how are we telling the stories, the little few ones that we're telling, are we telling them right? From your, POV as a visual storyteller.
The truth is, if we're going to use a scale of maybe percentage, I don't think we've even told up to 5% of African stories out there. Every single culture in Africa, we all grew up with stories that once upon a time we even thought they were fable. Then you grow, you hear the same story from somebody else, and then you realize these are actual things, right? But I think one of the things that has worked against us, and maybe not just even in film, in most of our sectors, because a lot of our industries are built in ways that are dependent on money coming from outside to be big, the person who brings the money now dictates the story to be told. So, for example, we have a lot of great Africans whose lives by now should be told in movies and stuff. But because the funding for most of this is not coming from the local places, even if they are to be told, someone wants to tell them in a way that it's like this basic thing about history, for example. I can boldly say that Nigeria as a nation, we don't have one history. Our history is as diverse as who is telling you. Everybody tells you the story from their point of view to make themselves look good. So you ask, is there really truth anywhere, right? Other parts of the world, they've taken what's their folk tales to make superhero movies. We are still here battling with what we consider culture, what is this, what is that. So at the end, we don't do anything about that. I grew up on Tales by Moonlight as a kid. I used to enjoy it every Sunday evenings then, just because of, now we could tell ourselves with adult mind, some of those stories were this, they were that, but the reality is, it was a way of life for our people. Now that we have platforms to tell these stories, the commercial drive is killing the need to tell these stories. I will always say, for example, take health. Every African community you go to, they have herbs that they take for different ailments that worked, that still works. But you know how media works? There's this, call it brainwashing or whatever we want to call it. It feels almost like this, even with food, the same thing. It's like the more you begin to grow in the Western way and make money, the more it begins to look, I don't know, like at your level, what kind of thing. You shouldn't be eating this. I told someone one time, today now we will see, maybe we'll do a party. It's not strange to see Nigerians eating from eba to amala, whatever, with cutlery. But the Chinese man will still use his chopstick.
Yeah.
When you go to some of the biggest and most exclusive restaurants in Dubai, the sheikhs go and they sit on the floor.
Yeah.
And eat in open.
No matter how wealthy they are.
Their wealth doesn't. But for us, it feels like, no, at your level, you don't do this. So it's the same thing all across board. Somehow, there's a part of us that feels like people say Nigerians were very proud of our culture, our outfits, our this. But that pride is veiled at some level. We feel like this one, no. And then I think there's also the other dimension. I'm a church boy, but there's also this dimension where part of the formatting they give to our brain, many things African is quickly considered voodoo.
Yeah.
Or local.
Or local.
No,
so
local.
if you tell someone, I do herbs, the English word herbalist is someone who knows how to use herbs.
That's it.
But you say, if you tell someone to them a herbalist, they think you're a native doctor. It's just a simple play of words.
Yeah, of
course.
So you don't want to even acknowledge that. So you can do this, but you don't anymore. So I feel like we're already at the point where, whether we like it or not, whether it's through cartoons, whether it's through short stories, we need to start telling our story. And every time I run my documentary classes, what I tell everybody, it will shock you that the woman who sells akara at a particular junction and trained 3 children through university, that is a story that, told right, somebody in Ukraine who has never heard of akara before will be spellbound from start to finish because of how well you told it. But you make it sound like that woman is not a hero. Do you understand?
Yeah.
I jokingly tell people about this concept of the white collar job and how did you even get into that. And I was telling my student one day, do you realize that somewhere in our history there was a time when the colonial masters came and the first set of Africans who understood English enough to work with them, what did they wear? They dressed like their bosses. They wore white collar, white t-shirt, khaki trousers and the rest. At that time, the hot cake of men that anybody would want to marry amongst the ladies is the guy who's a teacher.
Well,
if he's a teacher, he's educated, he's like the white man. So at that time, it's hot property.
Yeah, those days.
Now that was the beginning of this thing where everybody started chasing the white man's job. Now, at that time when there were more people in the villages, farming, food was cheap, food was available. Now we all chased the white collar job.
We left the farm.
We left the farms, came to the cities. Till date, even though some are receiving sense now, if you see a young person who maybe go to school abroad, come back and tells the family, I want to go into farming, they will send your name for prayer points because they feel that something is wrong. But it's the narratives that have been told that got us there.
Okay, now you said something quite important about us telling our stories. And as you said, we all have stories. Joke was here just reminding us of holiday is coming. I don't know the rest of the lyrics of that.
No more teachers bell.
No more ringing bells or something like that.
Scholars go back, teachers go back, na 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 na.
Today is
the problem is that most times we learn the rhythm, not the lyrics.
Yes.
So everybody's afraid
Don't
to
expose
sing.
us now. Those of us are watching.
We can't know the ringer. Today is holiday. That's
yes.
what you know.
So everyone has a story.
Yep.
Yeah.
And guess what? Everyone has a weapon.
A weapon.
Somebody described my gentle, humble phone as a weapon.
Is it not?
What that means, I don't know. Anyway, so everyone has a phone. Yep. And I know you teach people how to use their phones to make videos. Yep. Give us a short course. Yes. You have 10 minutes.
So the thing is this, I don't care the tool you're using. Whatever the tool you're using, the story is still the hero. I always tell people that there's 4 components to every story, or we call it the 4 pillars of storytelling. People, purpose, plot, and place. At the center of every story, who is the character? That's the people. Topics don't get attention, it's people that get attention. Poverty is a topic, but John is a teacher who can barely feed his family 1 meal a day. That's a person that has put a face to what you want to talk about. Somebody can relate, somebody can connect it to their own story or something similar. So you want to tell a story, you go somewhere, who is this story about? And then there's purpose, that's the meaning. Why should I be interested? It's not just carrying camera and recording. The thing we don't realize is this, the human struggle is universal. It's like, you know how part of the brainwashing I was talking about earlier, there are people who grew up believing that everybody abroad is okay. Until you let that, there are people out there who are living on that bridge.
Yes.
Just like in Lagos. Yeah? So what's the meaning? What's the purpose? Why do you want to tell the story? I give the example of the akara seller, for example. Someone sells akara or suya in one spot for 20 years. For me, there's a story there.
Yeah.
There are people who have passed through that place. But because we don't tell it, there's a story that was told by Cristiano Ronaldo some time back about when as a kid, hungry and everything, him and his friends would play football, come back, they don't have money or anything. Now, 2 sisters worked in one fast food. They will go to the back of the fast food at night, and then the food that they are supposed to dispose, these sisters would package some and give to them, him and his friends. They could have been fired if they were caught doing that. Now they will take the food. That was what kept him and his friends for a long period. So now that he became Cristiano, he was looking for them for years. Eventually found one of them after putting post out, saw these 2 ladies and bought the entire block, built a restaurant and gave. Now that suddenly became this big story because of when it was happening, it was nothing. Now imagine the same person who did akara at that point where, and there was always that person who the families didn't even have anything. So that woman you think is doing small business is nice to one family enough to give them because they don't have to feed for that day. Now that same child now becomes somebody tomorrow and says, I want to go look for that person. Suddenly that woman, that sport is not exactly what you say anymore. It's taking life, it's taking meaning. Now, and then there is the plot, the before and after. you want to be deliberate to put the before, the after. Whatever it is we're talking about.
There's always a before.
There's always before and after. Then there's place. Where does this happen? A story set in the Nigerian market and a story set in a 13-story penthouse carry different energy. The minute you see it on screen. I've seen people tell story because you are now made, you're telling a story of your childhood in one ghetto, but you're sitting in a penthouse. The meaning is already lost from the beginning, right? It would have made sense if we saw you there before we now see you here. So having that basic knowledge of this, and it's not rocket science, carry the camera, let's hear the people. Let's see for ourselves. We're not saying make a Netflix documentary. Just document it. You're documenting that small story might inspire someone else to do a follow-up.
You know, this thing that you are saying is very good for Netflix and Disney.
I was going to say.
All those ones. People want video that they will put out and it will be viral tomorrow.
So, see, the thing is this.
Certainly.
So all these pilots, plots,
that's what I'm saying. When you carry your phone and you're filming this thing on the street, go online. The thing about being viral is this. Have you noticed nowadays, the cleanest videos don't necessarily go viral. People are getting connected with organic stories that feel like, so now some experts are even trying to fake organic and just make it look like this thing just happened. They are staging whatever. For me, it's the idea that I don't need to be an expert. I have something to say. We've met people who may not even know how to film, but they can just start sharing a story and they hold you spellbound. If that's your strength, do it. Tell us stories. It will shock you that when you put that story online, somebody somewhere will resonate. I'll give you a story. There's a village somewhere in the Niger Delta, one of those border Cameroon, a typical Nigerian village. Someone told me about something. Okay, let me use another one. When I was a child growing up, there's this leaf in the Niger Delta that when someone is anemic, bloodshot and everything, they call it hospital too far. They cook it, put something, and then that it boosts the blood. First time I heard of it was from my mom. I was a kid. And in my head, I was already in that place, I was like, yeah, right. You know? But imagine me now growing up many years after carrying camera. I think it was me and you that day. Then we meet a doctor of natural medicine. And out of curiosity, I said, let me even ask this question.
If he knows.
And she said, oh, yes, they call it, what's it again? Iyanakpaja. There are some people call it miracle plant. I was like, it's real? I said, yes. And then she started telling me everything that it does.
Oh, my gosh.
Imagine the light bulb moment for me, like, so this was not fable, you know? And there's so much that nobody talks about. Recently, someone was, I'm trying to sleep, I'm not sleepy, this is that. And now, me too, because I did a little play there, I said, just buy nutmeg, grate a bit of it. Not too much, you put it in the food when you're making it, because I learned that they said in ancient times in most part of Niger Delta, when women are pregnant, there's this pepper soup they make for them. That nutmeg was a core ingredient in that. And the reason was to help them sleep.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know that. So when I learned it, how did I even know? I stumbled originally on this where on campus then, I make food. Once there's nutmeg and I eat, 30 minutes later, I'm drunk. I'm gone. I said, there's something here. So I asked my younger sister, who's more into this thing, and then she comes back to say, this is the history. It was always put there because it helps people to sleep. Oh, wow. I'm like, oh, wow. So I told this person, try it. And then she went, after she's watching this right now, she went and put a little more than she should. And she slept almost the next day and said I'm sleepwalking. But imagine if just a simple story like that, somebody somewhere would try it. And you could be saving someone from a drug addiction where they need medicine or alcohol to sleep, and just something natural like that. It doesn't have to be a feature story. It could just be one simple story about one human, and you put it there. Like I said, everybody wants to go viral, but even those that tell you the science of virality cannot still guarantee that the video will go viral.
Interesting. I see that there's a video on the streets now. And what you don't know, okay, by the way, Joke, he saved that video. There's this Yoruba song, forgive me, I don't know how to. some guy, some comedian, made it into an Indian song.
Typical Bollywood.
Typical Bollywood. This guy, full video. I like.
If you were
the video wasn't fantastic, but you cannot deny the originality of that song.
Of the song.
So that kind of thing didn't just, and it came from what the first lady said about Akara and all of those things. And in fact, you played the track of the first lady and the president calling his wife Yalakara in that video. So that kind of thing. So essentially, what you're saying is that the stories are there. We only need to look for them.
There's a guy right now I follow online who his talks are not more than 60 seconds max. He just stretches his neck and says, when your papa tell you, say, when you grow, you go understand. You don't understand. Then he will laugh.
Oh my gosh.
He say, because, let's say, I don't understand. Now, it's funny, but almost every adult can relate. He just drives home the point.
Yes.
He wanted to address people beating criminals and stuff. He came up one day and he said, they were beating a thief in their street. He went to go and join them. And then the criminal, while they were beating, he looked at him and said, "Bros, I know your face." He said, now, for me, just that simple thing, the next time you are in that kind of community, there's something in you that just go home. Just go home.
Yes.
For it's him using some playthings and like that.
To draw.
And the thing is this, like I said before, every part of our nation, there are different content creators I follow who what they do on the surface looks like nothing. It might not mean anything to somebody in one part of Nigeria, but for someone from another part of Nigeria, you will understand immediately because, like you said, that guy's song, I didn't get it, I don't understand the language, but I like the Bollywood
version of it. Yeah, the flip to it.
Somebody else is doing comedy about some Edo accent and something like that. I get it because I understand that side. And this person, what are they saying about the person that comes from that part is
certainly it.
So it doesn't have to be picture or anything. We grew up with things that just the same way languages are beginning to become extinct, and we're joking with it.
Yeah.
It's the same way our history,
our culture,
our food, our culture is vanishing, and it's simply because we're not taking enough pride in passing it down the way it should.
Absolutely.
Like when I came earlier, you were talking, the conversation you were having, everywhere now on the internet there's this thing, Nigerian mom, African mom, and all of that. Now people, some that may not get it will say, but there are those who will tell it to you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Thank God for that generation of African moms.
Yes.
Because, see, sometimes the fear of your mother is more than the fear
the beginning
of God.
of wisdom.
Wisdom new.
You want to misbehave. When you think what Momsi would do.
Absolutely. Well, I told you this is a storyteller.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time.
Is.
Thank you so much for your time this morning. Timmy Pudi is a filmmaker and visual storyteller with an astonishing creative latitude in the production ecosystem. Thank you so much. This morning, this masterclass, I'm sure that some people are going to start using it.
They have kept the video and keep looking at it over and over again.
And that's the show today. Thank you for the privilege of being a part of your Saturday morning. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I'm Ayo Makinde.
And I'm Joker Rogers. Bye.